going over here. We're in Tav Kuf Peches. That's what we're up to. And we're going to continue. We started discussing the times when the Zman with Kiyah Shofar is. We're going to do Halacha Beis now. Shom test Kiyah. We do this Halacha. Okay. Gimel. Shama Teshat Kiyas V'Tisha B'nei Adam Shetoku Kulam Ke'achas. You heard the whole thing in one shot. Okay? So got a lot of ears. Is there a problem? How many things can you hear at once? That's the subject. Lo yotza. She'en kam pshuto lefanel pshuto la'achareh. There's an order that Kiyah Shofar has to be done in. You have to have a pshuto lefanel and a pshuto la'achareh. If you have it not like that, you have it just, however, erratically, not sandwiched properly, so then you're not yotza. No, there's a order in Tkiyah, Trua Tkiyah. Now, what a word Trua means, I'm not right now discussing, but whatever a Trua means, you have to have a Tkiyah before and a Tkiyah afterwards. So if you can hear them all at the same time, you don't have them don't have a Tkiyah before and after. Now, I'll just say that there's a philosophical question, which actually the Rav Avrohom discusses this in a few places. I don't have them in the wrong order. But sometimes you have to have things in order because A has to be before C. And sometimes you have to have that you have B after A. It's not the same thing. What's the difference? If it's at the same time, then you didn't have A before C, or else you didn't have it after it either. Okay, so this depends on different halachas, how it was worded, how Chazal interpreted, understood the deraisa that we're dealing with. But in this situation, it has to be a sandwich. That's the point that we were saying. It's even though it wasn't wrong, it just wasn't right. Okay, you have the tkiyah before and the tkiyah after. You don't have it that way, you're not yotza. V'im shnaim taku ke'echad kol haseder, afilu echad taku b'chatzotzeres yotza. If you have, I don't know exactly how this can be done. I'll just tell you for the things that I marvel at. There are certain halachas of lechatchila which are, to me, unnerving. In the practical sense, person makes tzitzis, so the wound part is supposed to be a third of the string. So there's some people that they cheat, they make long ones, and then they cut them. Fine. Nowadays, just for your information, the Mishnah Berurah brings down that tzitzis shouldn't be cut with a metal thing. So I know in Yerushalayim there are places there's a gemach, but they have ceramic scissors to cut your tzitzis, okay? Think of a gemach to make, okay? You never thought of that one, huh? Okay, well, it already exists in a few places. It's such a gemach. I would like to tell you, even though we're a dentist over here, your teeth work fine. You can cut them with your teeth, that also works. Anyways, kids could be cut with your teeth. Even adults, it can be cut. The Mishnah Berurah says it's a lechatchila kind of a thing to do. So a person can, they should. Some people have a piece of glass, they cut with a piece of glass. There are different ways to do it. But echshahu, I look around, and style is something which I guess it's part of human nature, or I'll call it part of the Yitzhar's nature. I'm not sure which nature it's part of exactly. And even in the most silly things, there's always style, and style is very important. I'm just going to share with you a story which is not funny, but a joke from a bar and leg, which is, I think, important, very important and insightful. There was this yeshiva bacher that was in a yeshiva that the yeshiva wanted him to wear a certain kind of a yarmulke, and the kid wanted to wear a different kind of a yarmulke. And Don Hola said, if you're not going to wear the kind that we want, then we're going to throw you out. Okay, I don't know where this yeshiva is and what the point was exactly. That's not the point. The point over here is how the parent really fell into it bagadol. So the parents went to a barn lake with the two yarmulkes, and he told the barn lake the problem. And he said, someone threw this one, and they wanted to wear like that one. I don't see any difference. Do you? So Barnum looked at the guy and said, if you don't see any difference, why don't you just wear the other one? So no, it's a fantastic line, right? You're fighting a war because there's a difference, and you say there's no difference, right? That's like the most almost a hypocritical statement in one statement, right? It's a fantastically insightful thing. So, but the Yetzer Hara finds, and style, these are pointing out, because style is usually about things which are about that different. You understand? The brim of the hat, if it's an eighth of an inch or a quarter of an inch, we're speaking about minuscule things, and people, get hooked on it this way or that way. People there's like a style that was going on, and it seems to be waning, that people would be wearing tzitzis that were made out of ropes instead of strings. They were real thick ones, and they'll be like long. If they didn't rub against your ankles, there was something wrong with them. Okay, which is very nice. On that, there's a Gemara that speaks about the kissa kesa shaya tzitziyas migras b'gdei roimi, but there is a formula as to what is supposed to be the division of the tzitzis. So you can have one 10 feet long, but then it has to be 3 1/3 and 6 and 6 sweatshirt. You have to have it. You have to have it parceled out. So to me, that's always very difficult making the tzitzis to try to get that equation down pat. Okay, what? You have some tzitzis scissors? Okay, 2. Wow. Okay, that's called a baltai. One would have been sufficed. So 2, that's okay. All right. Anyways, you have one for yourself when you lend out. This is very special, items over here. Why am I saying this? Because you have to have everything that you're doing. It has to be implemented in the right order, the way it's supposed to be. So here the halacha is that if you're going to have the pshuta lefaneh, pshuta lachareh, the tzliyas are also supposed to be the same size, which you're going to learn about that later. And if you'll notice, here in this shul, when we blow the tkiyas on Rosh Hashanah, the tkiyas of the shvarim are shorter than the tkiyas of the shvarim truas. Most people don't do that. Most people don't do that. They just have them all be extra long because why not? What? No. There is a reason to do it like that, and that's called uniformity. Whatever you do it always the same. You do it always the same, you'll have less chance of having a mess up. So even though it's overkill, there's no one's arguing, and if you're not frummer. But I have reasons, my experience, my reasons are based on experience, not based on halacha. I tried to have, it used to be that I used to try to have the guy just blow 11 truas, not 9. And now I already upped it to already up to like 14 I usually allow him to do. I don't like him to blow 9. Why don't I like him to blow 9? No. I'm confident that I could count to 9 all by myself. Okay, I'm not worried. But what happens is the people in the audience, they think it's too short. And then I have to go and fight with people that he blew 9. So I decided, and this was a decision, it's tircha de tzibura versus a tzibur that's not going to feel that they were yaitza. Okay, so I decided it's better to do extra, even though I'm not frummer. It's practical. And it's not. I don't think that I'm doing anything frummer at all. I just think it works better because people are more satisfied. So that's a nakuda, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, but I said, but it's not frummer. It's not. I'm not doing more. I'm not doing more because I'm doing more. I'm doing more because you want to know if I was a mashkiach, I would answer that question. 2 seconds times 130 people is how many seconds?
I wouldn't count it.
Why would you count it that way?
It's 2 seconds.
So each person, so I'm being gairim, a waste of time, Can I ask you a question? If you stop to park your car and you cause one person to have to wait, is that as big as Avla is if you stop to park your car that caused 15 people to wait? It's only 2 seconds for each person. But there's an accumulative effect. Okay, so when you do something for the tzibur in Kelm, in order to get the Sefer Torah out of the Old Kodesh, there was a step stool that had to be climbed on to get it because the Old Kodesh was very high. And there was a bocher that his job was, on Monday and Thursdays, always to take the step stool, had someplace, wasn't there, and bring it to the person. And one time he forgot. And the Mashgiach in Kelm, Daniel, gave him a whole shmooze because of the Bittul Torah and the Bittul Tefillah for 100 and, that's if you're a serious guy. Jeff, you're just not serious enough, that's all. Yeah.
I agree in the case of the thought, because each one of them could be doing something traveling. But in the case of the Shofar, no one's doing anything anyway. They're not allowed to be, you're not allowed to be learning Torah.
Theoretically, they're going to get home 2 seconds earlier, right?
No, but instead it's not cumulative. Everybody just is delayed 2 seconds.
Right. That means the services will end 2 seconds later for everybody. So it's just a question of where it is. Your time in shul is 2 seconds more for everybody.
Right. No, that's not the for the tzibur. The whole tzibur is passive. Only 2 seconds. So it's not such a big deal.
But that means for each person in the tzibur. For each person in the tzibur.
I'm saying it's his achayis for everybody.
No, I understand, but the question over here is: are we talking about 2 seconds, or are we talking about
10.
what?
2 seconds.
Times. So right, so that means that I'm affecting the tzibur. Yeah. I think that the tzibur, by and large, is moichel. We're not. I don't think that we're not that yekish over here. But bagadol, we're trying to. What are we aiming to do? What are we aiming to do? We're not expecting anybody to be perfect. We're not expecting to get 1,000 on the thing. We're just trying to do the best we can. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to not cause drag. It's a very important nekuda. There's a lot of drag that happens in shul all the time, and I don't know if you're aware of it. I'm just going to mention it. I just mentioned it actually this year. Maybe it's worthwhile to mention it. The amount of time that it takes for Achnasa Sefer Torah in a shul that there's room and there's a small amount of people is a fraction, a mere fraction. I was once in a very big shul and I timed it. The Achnasa Sefer Torah took 10 minutes.
What?
Because there's a lot of people, and just for everybody to say, if you go to a place, I'm not speaking about right now a super yeshivish place or not. Take Avas Shalom and have 300 people in it. The amount of time that it'll take to say Yehei Shmei Rabbah for those 300 people is way longer than it is when you have 60 people. The same people. No, it's not. It's just when you have more people, there's drag. That's just a fact, way things run. Anyways, I don't need to get off the subject over here. Now, if they're all going to blow them at the same time, so you have one guy who's able to work this out. This is what I was trying to explain. He's going Kia Shvarim Trua, Kia Shvarim Kia. Another guy's going Kia Trua Kia. Another guy's going Kia Shvarim Trua Kia. They're doing it all at the exact same time, and they worked it out to get the same thing. Can you be Yaitza? What did I say? I said that you have to have a tkiya before your truas. I'm having tkiyas before my truas. I'm just having multiple truas at the same time. Yeah, it's that's the question we're discussing right now. Let's see the halacha inside. Shama teisha tkiyas mutisha b'nei adam shetagul kulam ke'echad lo yat. She'en kan pshuto lefanav pshuto acharei. You don't have a tkiya before the trua. When Shnaim Taku Ke'echad Kol HaSeder, and if you have two people blowing separately a Seder, one guy's blowing Tkiya Shvarim Trua, another one Tkiya Trua Tkiya, at the same time. I feel echad taka b'chatzor. It says yotza. Why? Diov dati al shofar. You hear the shofar, and there's no problem because you didn't have a problem of tkiyas before. You always had a tkiyah before the trua. Just have multiple things happening at the same time. Says the Mishnah Berurah. Test. Shetaku kulam ke'echad. V'hainu she'echad also tkiyah. V'asheni trua. V'ashlishi tkiyah. Hashniya. V'chein kulam. Einu yoytz l'zeh. Why? She'en kam pshuta l'fanah. You didn't have a pshuta beforehand. V'inu shetehei trua v'emtza. The trua has to be a sandwich. V'fanach harat tkiyah. V'lo yoyu kol ha'koilos v'vasachas. You can't have that tzok tkiyah v'chodesh. Mikol makom. Bracha lo yifsik. In lo yifsik b'dover acher. You weren't doing something illegal, you just weren't yetzer. So you didn't lose your bracha. Now this is an interesting machlokes, which we're not going to learn as v'iyur. Yesh mishayim al kaponim yedei tkiyah achas yotza, because one tkiyah is okay. One tkiyah you heard before a trua, right? So the you should be yetzer that one tkiyah. So you don't have to start over from scratch. You just have to start over from a shvarm trua. I'm not going to get involved in that machlokes, not negeh. You can't hear two things at once. It's a mitzvah which people are excited about being involved in. The chavivole, and it is dear. Okay, exactly. The yov daite l'shmoa yafa. Now, I would like to express something, which is a fascinating thing. You could be sitting at a table, and there are people talking, and it's just like a madhouse. You can't hear anything. Okay. I don't know if you people remember the world before Corona, right? In Toshin Ayin Test, the world before Corona. So you would go to chasana, there could be blaring music, and you can't even hear yourself, right? It's very annoying, right? Many people wish they would be able to hear that now. But anyways, and you catch a word of a conversation that somebody's saying, and you zero in, and you hear, if you pay attention, a second ago, you said, I can't even hear myself think. And then you pay attention because he's talking about something that you want to know about, and you're able to hear their personal conversation. There's nothing personal as a person, but these two people that are speaking amongst themselves, even in the din of all the noise that's going on around. And a second ago, you said you can't hear anything because it's just one big balagan. How is that? And for the Mishnah Berurah, Yov daite. So a person can have selective hearing. That's what it means. You can actually focus, just like the cameras nowadays, they can have that box that focuses on a certain thing in the picture, which I have no idea how it knows what to focus on. Right? So you and your brain, I don't know how this works either, but you can focus on hearing something that others can't hear because there's a lot going on, because you're Yov daite. So if it's chavivole, it's Yov daite. I cannot explain how this works, but I'm sure everybody's familiar that it exists. Now, I'm not saying it's Yiddish, even though it's mechudash ma'od. Anyways, so then you could do that. Okay. Now, you even hear three. Now, this is a question of how many treikos mishtoi, esekos mishtoi, how many can you actually do at the same time? How many conversations can you carry on at once? Okay, I'm not going to get too involved because it's not so negay for us. Okay. Next halach. This is negay. You can have one person being yetzer the tkiyah with one purpose and the other person with another purpose, as long as the guy who's blowing it is blowing it for both of them. In other words, I can use it for my purposes and you can use it for your purposes at the same time. The next halacha is this year in particular, and I'm going to share with you this morning. I was asked a question that I'm beholden to get an answer for. I was threatened by my friend who asked me this question. He says, you are obligated to have a text to this question. I'm going to share it with you because it's the halacha we're about to learn today now. Yondu Shalosh Hashem Shechalios B'Shabbos this year. Ein Taikim V'Shofar. We don't blow the shofar. We also the taltaloi. And aside from that, there's an issa that a shofar is very important. I would like to scream right now. The word in Ivrit is wrong. Tiltul does not mean carrying. Tiltul means moving. And matam tiltul b'Shabbat, that in Ivrit means do you carry in an eruv? That is when I say it's incorrect, that's not correct. That's not what tiltul means. Tiltul means moving something. In halacha, when you say tiltul, we're talking about moving. Mukseh is also the tiltul. Nothing to do with carrying. Okay? It's important to make sure we have that clear when we're learning halacha. So the two halachas. One is that a shofar is mukseh, even not on Shabbos. And there's another halacha, Yontif, when it's not on Shabbos, and another halacha, even Yontif that's not Shabbos. Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah Sunday. Rosh Hashanah Sunday. Also, your shofar is not to be used not to be moved for no reason. It's also betiltul, not do carrying. Not betiltul. Yeah. Correct. And there's another issue about we don't blow shofar on Rosh Hashanah because Gzeira Derava, we're afraid that somebody may carry, right? But on Shabbos. Now, I want to accentuate something that I heard once from a mashkiach, and I'd like to scream at the people who are speaking about the one person and the many people in the tzibur right now, and share with you some mathematics. I don't know how many Orthodox Jews there are in the world today. Maybe Lev Seltzer probably has an idea of how many there are. Anybody have any idea? What? No, Orthodox Jews. No way. I don't believe that there's a million. Is there a million? Huh? 10%? Okay. So let's say there's 2 million people. Let's say. Okay. What? 2 million people. Okay. I'm going to make a wager. If we allowed people to blow shofar on Shabbos, how many people would mess up and go to the chacham to learn how to blow shofar?
Zero.
Okay. I hope that you're wrong, Yechiel, because otherwise Chazal wouldn't have made Gzeira. A minuscule amount. I think that's a fair, very unlikely. So if I were Chazal, I would say, what? I'm going to have 1,900,000 people miss out on Tkiyah Shofar because of one nincompoop? Is that a question or it's an answer? Right, but that's a fascinating thing. So you want to know how worried are we? What does it mean to do an Avera? This is a fascinating place to point out this issue. Anyways.
When they made the Gzeira, there was people who were in small communities. One person in a community of 20.
Parrots. Let's say it was 1 in 20.
Yeah.
Still low mutzvah. I would say that right? And not only that, if Chazal would be Talmidei Chachamim, they would know it's a shigas mitzvah. It's not even called a mezer according to many people. It's not so right.
Listen, any Gzeira, how many people go into shul and they didn't hear the
No.
the bracha?
Gzeira caused us to not do a mitzvah d'oraisa. Most Gzeiras do not have a mitzvah expense.
They made a bracha she'ena tzricha. Like Kriyas Torah, it's a bracha she'ena tzricha.
Well, I've no clue to
I
what
said
you're talking about.
they made a xera that everyone makes extra brachas because someone might come in and not think someone
I
didn't make
hope
a
that's
bracha.
not a bracha she'ena tzricha.
Okay, because once there goes there, it's not a bracha she'ena tzricha.
Nobody makes that accusation that you said that it has a halacha of a bracha she'ena tzricha.
Of course, there goes there already, so it's not a bracha she'ena tzricha.
Oh, so they don't have any. They don't have an expense. Here we have an expense. We are being mavater on a mitzvah doraisa.
So they can be goes there shev al tasa.
Even in your small communities of 20 people, I think it's still the majority of people are not going to mess up. I mean, that at least is fair to say. I think. Huh? Yeah, well, that's a whole other question. I'm not getting involved in that. Why would you really have to go? But you couldn't learn before. You know, I'm not discussing the Gzer Darabah, what the understanding, the back office work of it is. I'm just discussing the value. The value is something that's worthwhile pointing out. At any rate, so there's a Aruch LaNer in Parshas Hazinu, which says that the years that Shabbos, that Rosh Hashanah falls out on Shabbos, Shabbos replaces the Tkiyah Shofar, and the years that Klal Yisrael Shomer Shabbos properly, so it acts as in lieu of Tkiyah Shofar, and we're blessed with a good year. A year which Klal Yisrael is not Shomer Shabbos properly, so then it acts in a negative way, and we have a bad year. And he brings rayas to this from history. Okay, this is a very famous Aruch LaNer. So the guy tells me, he says, you know the Aruch LaNer? So I said, of course I know the Aruch LaNer. And he said it over in a shiur this morning, and somebody asked him a question that he doesn't know the answer, and I have to give him an answer to the question. The reason why I said I'm responsible for giving him an answer is because since my wife is a granddaughter of Aruch LaNer, so therefore it's my job. I'm obligated to always, you have to deal with your shver's issues. I have to deal with my shver's grandfather's issue over here with this Aruch LaNer. And the years that he says that the good years was the first year that they got Slicha V'chila for the Ego. That year Rosh Hashanah fell out on Shabbos. So he asked me that at that time they didn't yet to make the Gezerah a Rabbah. What's the Aruch LaNer talking about? And then I offered him some kind of an answer. But anybody wants to answer this question, it's a fascinating question, and the Aruch LaNer makes all kinds of calculations to prove his point. And the Chayra, Rabbah's Gezerah, we know when Rabbah lived. It was a few thousand years later. Doesn't work out. But I believe that this is not an imponderable. I think I know the answer to the question. But anyone wants to answer that question, that's appropriate over here. Okay. I just want to mention, I remember when I was in Yeshiva Ketana, one of the questions which were asked on this point, when we went to this Mishnah Berurah, the fascinating Machlokes Achronim on this issue. If a person blew shofar on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, was he Yaitza? Did he do a mitzvah? Shabbos, this year. Even through your mask, I could see your face.
B'shogeg or b'mezid?
Whichever you like. Or whichever you dislike. Is he Yaitza? I think it's a double pashut that he's Yaitza. They didn't say there's no mitzvah tkiyah shofar. They just said we're not letting you access it. That's wonderful. I mean, that's not wonderful, but.
The rest of listening to what Chazal told you.
That's why I did an Avera. How does it affect? Oh, so there are those who say that. There are those who say that. So, I said there's a machlokes on this issue. Now, I'm not sure exactly what. So there's a discussion on that issue also. There's all this. I'm pointing out that the Nakuda. I just want to say one thing. They did not say that there's no mitzvah of Tkiyah Shofar on the first day of Rosh Hashanah. They did not change the Gemara, the halacha. They did not say there's no. No, it's not everybody's masking to whether you're yaitza or not yaitza. It's not. No one argues with the fact that they did not tamper with the deraisa and say that there's no mitzvah of Tkiyah Shofar on the first day of Rosh Hashanah. They did not change the Torah. They just said that you can't get there. They locked up all the shofars on that to get there. That was the gzera. But there's nobody who says that there is no mitzvah. Now, whether you have a technical reason that will negate the kiyum of the mitzvah or not, that's a machlekes achronim. But the point that I wanted to share with you is the Chazal did not go against what it says in the Torah. The Torah said to blow on that day. They didn't say don't blow on that day. They didn't say they said not to. They said not to blow. But they didn't take away the mitzvah. Could be, maybe that there's a problem of mitzvah b'avera. Maybe there's all kinds of possibilities of why it should be no good. But that's the issue that I just wanted to share with you. Okay, let's go to the next one. Also, no, beforehand. Also, the taltaloi. This is very important. Maybe see the Mishnah. Ain't taking a shofar. Gzer shem yatlena biyado. Also, the taltaloi. It's also to blow shofar. Stamazot. Why? It's a trumpet. What? And Sukkis is a shofar mukseh.
No. Yes. I know Rosh Hashanah, except for blowing shofar.
Why not? What's that? You know, that's why I love people who they build mountains on their own yesodis. Who said the reason why it's mukseh is mukseh mitzvah? Let's take a look at the Mishnah Berurah and see why it's mukseh. Says the Mishnah Berurah, why is it mukseh? What does it say? Musical instrument. Kalisha. Mishnah Berurah, Sivkot and Yudalid.
Why is it also to blow on the ball?
No, I don't think so. The Kalisha Malachta is it's a trumpet. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, there's a Taz over here that's relevant to this whole subject of why it's mukseh. But there's another issue about blowing for no purpose, but that's also discussed. But anyways, the mother tzarich gufoy v'koymoi. What is tzarich gufoy? Sheroitz elisha b'mayim ki agavna. V'dafka b'Shabbos muter. The key one day in Taikin lo hukso v'tzvasoi. V'ashein ke b'yom tov af she'ein iser tilto shofar afilo kol hayom ki l'kamon. V'komakom l'shtavish b'asor she'ein hukso l'mitzvasoi. Falling in esrek, even though it's not the day that you're using. Okay.
Isn't musical instruments usher because you might adjust them?
Yeah.
So shofar, there's no moving parts on a shofar.
That's what by the way, anybody who would like, I could set you up with a guy in Beitar who he adjusts and fixes shofars to get the pitch that you want. It has to do with the way that he does is a fascinating guy. He has the way the pitch of the shofar changes on the angle, how deep the hole is into the mouth of the shofar, and what he has a whole science on it. And he can actually, Arya, you want to get one, huh? Anyways, it's a fascinating guy, and he's a shofar expert. Many people bought shofars there because of me.
But if the mukseh is D'Rabbanan and the what's it called and not blowing is D'Rabbanan, is that Gzera D'Gzera?
No, it's because they're two different subjects. There was no the fact that huksa mitzvah is just part of it's what it is.
No, I'm talking about on Shabbos.
Don't think so.
There's a kli shalachta lisser.
I don't think so. Two different things. Okay, next sif. I think that's a simple halacha. We discussed this many times. Cheresh right to the cotton, keturim, cheresh afilo medaber ve'eno shomea eno moitzi. The key there eno shomea lav b'chiyubo, because the mitzvah is not to blow shofar. The mitzvah is to hear the shofar. Our shomea ve'eno medaber moitzi achay midei chevasam. He obviously can't make the bracha. Somebody else can make the bracha. Very important Mishnah Berurah. Now, this Mishnah Berurah, which we're going to learn right now, is actually the Rosh Sternbuch has someplace, if I'm not mistaken, Moed in Muzmanim. He has a long piece on this. It seems to me that the Mishnah Berurah is consecutively machmer on this issue, and though there are some places that are not as machmer on this issue. I get asked many times the following question, and I don't know what to answer. The reason why I don't know what to answer is because I know the answer. That's why I don't know what to answer. You have a husband who went away for Shabbos, and you have a wife and 15-year-old daughter and bar mitzvah bacher that are home. Who should make kiddush? Anybody want to answer?
All of them have an equal feel.
Bar mitzvah boy. It's already 15.
All have an equal feel.
All of it. So it doesn't make a difference.
The reason why the husband would be ashamed by his wife, she makes it doesn't apply because he's not there.
Okay, fine. So it doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. Yeah, I don't say. I understand. Okay. You've been here for a while, huh? Okay, now let's see the Mishnah Berurah. We assume, and this is an assumption which is very difficult. I'm going to say this right now because when it's not negeh, I always find it easier to speak about things when it's not negeh than when it is negeh. The shul has a policy when we bake matzahs about allowing bar mitzvah boys to handle the dough. The problem is just because a person is 13 years old on the calendar does not mean that he is a gadol in halacha, because in halacha he has to have grown hairs in pubic hair. Now, there's a problem. So the guy is 14 years old and he wants to handle the matzahs. So what are you going to tell him? So we have a nihul. We have a nihul on this subject to take care of this problem. Okay, this is a serious problem. I don't know if I say it's the worst serious problem, but it's a serious problem. Now we have this bar mitzvah boy over here. This bar mitzvah boy over here. When was he bar mitzvah? Last week. Do we know that he's really a gadol? He wears a black hat, but can you read that doesn't do it? That's not enough to make him into a gadol, right? So who should make kiddush? The wife or the daughter, but not the bar mitzvah boy.
Why isn't Chazaka the Rava good enough?
What?
Why isn't Chazaka the Rava good enough?
Okay. Mitsuyan.
Especially for a Darabanan.
Which Darabanan?
Kiddush Halachos.
Wow. Wowee. I didn't know that Kiddush Halachos is Darabanan. The Kiddush is being, the Kiddush is the rice, and maybe the Kais is Darabanan, but you've been might see the Kiddush.
For the women, you mean? But for the women, it's Darabanan also.
I said a very simple case. There's a bar mitzvah boy, a mother, and his daughter. And he came home from shul. He wants to make kiddush. You don't know what this looks like?
Which one of them is Deraisa?
The wife, the mother, whatever she's called.
She's Deraisa.
The sister. I think so. Usually, if she davened Ma'ariv, maybe not. Says the Mishnah Berurah. Afilu when ben shloishes shana, even if he's 13 years old, kozman shelo yadinun shehevi shtei sayrus, he has a bit of a cotton. He can't blow to says the Sharetzion, just to make sure parents is following. Mavura Poiskin, the Chazaka the Rava, Ein Moyle Inyan Daraisa. We're not saying Mechana for Daraisa. So therefore we have this problem, and you should not have a bar mitzvah boy being blowing shofar unless you know.
So this year should be okay then.
Oh, now there, very excellent question. On that question, there's a shtikal shayla. Why? Because according to some, Rosh Hashanah is different than regular Yom Tov Sheni because Rosh Hashanah is a Yom HaRichta, and according to some, possibly, and this is Hersh Pesach Frank, he discusses this question. If you say that maybe even for Rosh, even though parents should be right, but I can't be Mavakir and have parents be right. so Hersh Pesach, he says that could be on Rosh Hashanah since it's Yom HaRichta, we give it a din like a daraisa, and it could be it's not enough. But the pashtus is that you should be right. Okay, have a good night.